Alright, we're on episode 7 of season 1 of Fear Itself. This one's called Community, and it's about a couple that moves into a nice new suburb that is run by a cult.
Are you sure? No.
No, we're just gonna check it out.
What about the Commons?
Oh, don't put them through that.
So our two main characters are Bobby and Tracy, who are a couple that is living in a small apartment, and they're trying to have a child, to no avail so far. They get an offer from one of their friends to try out this place called the Commons. They find that the houses in the Commons are very, very large and a really, really great price. They do have some stipulations, and when they have a meeting with the owner of the Commons, Candace, she lets them know they do their own financing, but they really, really need to have a kid, and there are some special rules that they're going to have to pay attention to. Bobby and Tracy jump at this opportunity. Who wouldn't? They get to live in their dream house in this very nice community.
Based on 73 separate criteria, you as a couple meet our needs 97%.
Now, I think this episode is actually good and really does make you think, but this also would have been better as a movie. Some of these episodes, since these are 42 minutes long, really feel like they would be much better if they're extended to an hour and 30 minutes. They pack a lot into 42 minutes. So to make up for this 42-minute runtime, they do something kind of interesting where they just have tons and tons of scenes that are very, very short. There's the couple, there's the person who runs the Commons, they meet their neighbors, there's sub-characters, there's a ton of stuff going on. And you can see that some of the scenes are a little rushed, but it does actually move at a quick pace, and I think is kind of cool. They will be talking to their neighbors for maybe 2 minutes, then it'll flash to a scene of some kids playing in the snow, then it'll flash to them going to work. And they really are kind of testing the limits of the budget of NBC by having so many characters. They're trying to flesh out this world to make it seem like this is actually a real suburb. It seems like thousands of people live in this area of the Commons. While we don't see thousands of people, we do have a cast of 40 or 50 if you include the extras. But it also makes it an episode that's actually fun to rewatch, since you kind of see the hints that they lay out about what type of area this is going to be. You know things are going to go badly, but exactly what are the rules? They don't tell them the rules when they sign the contract, even though if they read the contract they could kind of see what they are. They want people that move into the Commons to actually discover this stuff on their own. That's the way they explained it. They're slowly getting you into the cult with nice things, money, and then hopefully you'll just go along with it. But you can tell things are kind of rushed, and there are some plot holes that we'll get to a little later. So we get a scene of them signing the contract, and I actually paused it to see what it actually says. Sometimes it's kind of funny in like movies or TV shows to pause when they just like show something for a second, just expecting nobody to read it. Because what type of weirdo would actually pause a video and then read the contract that they have in the video? They just expect you to just see it briefly. But I'm going to read parts of it because it is pretty crazy. Here's one part that at least we can read that's not blurry. The residents shall not watch or read any media which is counterproductive to social mores or in any way, intentional or implied, undermines or questions abiding social constructs or acceptable community, personal, sexual, social, metaphysical, spiritual, anthropological, or confirmation. Failure to comply with this capricious and scurrilous caveat will result in expulsion with extreme prejudice. The residents shall consume wholesome and collectively appraised and approved collateral that shall be made available, including but not limited to brand association, discount product purchasing, wholesale big box warehouse memberships. Oh, they're communist. Toy lines, foreign goods, clothing labels, maternity wear, and apparel accessories of a compulsory, titillating, or revealing nature shall not be tolerated. Yep, they're signing up for a cult. They also said that alternative religions, creeds, dogmas, doctrines, or orientation lifestyle, so if they're like gay, choices will not be tolerated. Progressive thinking or liberal worldviews are deemed counterproductive and shall be given appropriate punishment. Yep, so they're going on right-wing cults. Now, if Bobby and Tracy had read the contracts a little closer, the way I did when I screenshotted it and read it, they would know that there's a lot of stipulations to live in this community, and they are going to pass their own judgment. They have their own police force, or they have some type of police force. And in the case of this guy, he was cheating on his wife, and they're going to discipline him. We learn how they discipline people. They do it a variety of ways, but one way they do it, which we see later, is they cut off people's arms and legs. So this scene's actually kind of good, but then we get a really goofy one, and this is what I was saying earlier about this episode just seeing a little rushed in parts. The whole thing is not rushed. There's some parts that are really good, intense, but then just other parts because they have so many scenes and so many characters. Some are just obviously filmed very, very quickly. And they have this scene where this girl, they actually do it twice in the episode with a child as well, but in this case it's an adult, and they're shaming her. So they have her wear this pig mask, and they're throwing things at her, but they're obviously not throwing anything that would hurt her. It just looks goofy, doesn't look scary.
How can you let this happen? This is sick. This is medieval.
It's not bad enough. They're not tar and feathering her or anything like that. And I understand what their producers are trying to do. They don't want to make it too bad. If they literally start like beating the girl up or something, then they'll immediately leave the commons. So they don't want to be bad enough that Tracy and Bobby flee at this part in the episode, which is halfway through. But at the same time, it's just a little goofy. They totally should have cut this scene. It just looks, I was laughing the first time I saw this. Just a girl with a pig mask on, and then just throwing very, very lightly, obviously just like paper cups sort of in her direction to shame her. It looks ridiculous. The rest of the episode is good. So they do something kind of smart halfway through this episode where we see a divide between Bobby and Tracy. Tracy really likes living in the commons, despite that they're kind of learning that they're being surveilled all the time. And that they're dealing out these harsh punishments. They also have cameras everywhere. So they have cameras that are actually in the bedroom of Bobby and Tracy. And apparently you could just like turn on the channel and see like your neighbor's bedroom, see their living room. It's kind of like a 24/7 reality TV. So Bobby is the smart one. He doesn't like this, and he devises a plan to get out of the commons. He wants to leave. Tracy, on the other hand, actually likes the commons. She's having fun with her mom friends. They're trying to have this baby, which the people at the commons keep pressuring them. When are you having the baby? When are you having the baby? It's in the contract. So she finally does get pregnant, and Bobby decides to escape, and it seems like Tracy is going along with this as well. He doesn't want to be surveilled. He doesn't like the fact that they're watching him 24/7. He doesn't like these punishments that they're dealing out. Person with the pig mask gets stuff thrown at them. There's even a scene where someone gets run over by a car, and it's pretty clear that the commons is putting kind of a hit on someone and running them over with this car. And then the entire suburb just lies and says, oh, this person ran out in front of the car for no reason. It's not what happened. The car intentionally hit the person. So Bobby tries to flee, and then at the end, his wife kind of turns on him. This actually is a kind of cool dynamic, because if they both wanted to flee, they would have done this much earlier in the episode. There's enough crazy stuff that happens, especially when we start learning that they're cutting people's legs and hands off. But since Tracy wants to stay, this does make it kind of hard for Bobby to leave earlier in the episode. And we get this kind of chase scene through the woods where he tries to escape, and basically his wife turns him in. We get kind of a cool ending where, of course, Bobby himself loses his limbs. He's now an amputee. He's in the wheelchair for the rest of his life, and his wife has, moved on with her life. She seems very happy, and she's now giving tours to the next people that come into the commons. So I think I'm going to give Community a 7 out of 10. I've already gone over the flaws of it being rushed and a little unrealistic, but I actually do think it stands apart as in the Fear Itself series as really a unique episode that deals with cults. Too many of these episodes just deal with serial killers, which is kind of the go-to for any type of horror movie or show. But dealing with cults, they're always kind of interesting. You can go so many different ways with this, and the fact that they're doing kind of upper crust, white suburb is, I think, kind of a coolish twist on it. Okay, so one of the flaws or the obvious questions that most people watching this episode will ask is, this seems very implausible. You know, there have been cults. There have been whole countries that have been authoritarian. There's countries that are authoritarian now. You can't leave North Korea. They'll shoot you if you try to leave. They can do that because they control the entire thing and build a giant wall and kill anyone who tries to leave. That is not the case with the commons. While it is a gated community, people come and go freely. I mean, they kind of hint that they want them to eventually get a job in the commons, but it seems like people have jobs outside of the commons, and they're just kind of in a suburb in a city. This isn't a secluded, gated community out in the middle of nowhere. This isn't, like we saw in the first episode of Fear Yourself Sacrifice, just some wooden fort where some guys broke down their car and just like a couple people live there. This is a gigantic suburb. It seems like it has thousands of families in it. Alright, next up is episode 8, Skin and Bones, an episode that succeeds or fails on the performance of the main villain, who of course is a serial killer cannibal. Come on. Luckily for us, it's played by Doug Jones of Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth fame, so this is actually quite a good episode, and his performance is pretty amazing. It is by far the scariest, bloodiest, and most twisted episode of Fear itself. They went freaking buck wild for this one, with this one. And the version you can watch on YouTube legally is the director's cut, so apparently it features more R-rated content. So yeah, stay tuned for that if you dare. Oh, and check out our playlist. If you watch all of them, you get a golden star.